Remember the Sweathogs? Back in the late 70s, Welcome Back, Kotter became a cultural phenomenon, bringing laughter, heart, and unforgettable characters into our living rooms. From the wisecracking teacher Gabe Kotter to the hilarious gang of high school misfits, this classic sitcom left a lasting mark on television history. But it's been over 4 decades since the show first aired, so where are the stars now in 2025? Who continued on in showbiz? Who took surprising turns in life? And how have the years treated the beloved cast? Join us for a nostalgic journey as we dive into the past and present of the Welcome Back, Kotter cast. You'll be amazed at the transformations, touched by the stories, and maybe even feel a little wave of nostalgia. Gabe Kaplan, who portrayed the witty and empathetic Gabe Kotter, was 30 when he took on the role of the former Sweathog-turned-teacher who returned to his Brooklyn alma mater. While Kaplan was initially catapulted to fame thanks to his comedic timing and charm, his post-show career was riddled with disappointment. His transition from acting to professional poker met with little acclaim, and financial mismanagement plagued him. Married to high school sweetheart Elise Portman, the couple had 2 daughters, Rachel and Sophie, but their marriage dissolved in the mid-90s after years of drifting apart. Kaplan's estrangement from his children left him emotionally reclusive. He suffered a nervous breakdown in 2008 following a failed business venture, and was rumored to have lived out of a modest apartment in Las Vegas. Though he amassed a small fortune during his acting peak, legal battles and poor investments dwindled his net worth to a mere $120,000. Now 79, Kaplan lives alone, largely forgotten by Hollywood, sustained by modest royalties and struggling with the loneliness of a fame long faded. Marcia Strassman, who played the caring and long-suffering Julie Kotter, was just 27 when she embraced the role of Gabe's supportive wife. Strassman brought depth to a character often caught between humor and domestic frustrations. Off-screen, her life mirrored some of that tension. Her marriage to director Robert Weiss ended in a bitter divorce in 1989, marked by public custody battles over their daughter, Elizabeth. Her post-Kotter career never reached the same heights, with sporadic roles and frequent rejections. Struggling with depression, she also faced a difficult relationship with her brother, who reportedly embezzled much of her savings. Diagnosed with advanced breast cancer in 2007, she battled privately while financially drained by treatment costs. Her final years were spent in a modest home in Sherman Oaks, with her net worth reduced to under $80,000. Strassman passed away in 2014 at the age of 66, her legacy quietly cherished by fans but often overlooked by the industry she once graced. John Sylvester White, who portrayed the grumpy and rule-bound Mr. Michael Woodman, was 55 when he joined the cast. His character provided a stern contrast to the free-spirited Sweathogs. In real life, White was a deeply private man who struggled with alcoholism and intense loneliness after his wife, Doris, left him in the early 70s. They had no children, and White often spoke of his regret over never having a family. After Welcome Back, Kotter ended, his career waned, and he found few roles, which worsened his drinking. He was evicted from his Los Angeles apartment in 1985 due to unpaid rent and relocated to Hawaii, where he attempted to live a quieter life. He passed away in 1988 at the age of 68 from pancreatic cancer, reportedly with just $15,000 to his name. His body was cremated and scattered in the Pacific, as per his final request, a quiet end to a life overshadowed by missed chances and fading fame. Robert Hedges, who played the fiery and funny Juan Epstein, was only 24 when he became a fan favorite. Epstein's tough exterior and ethnic pride resonated with viewers, but Hedges's post-Kotter life was anything but comedic. Married 3 times, each relationship ended in turmoil. He fathered 4 children, Daniel, Olivia, Marcus, and Leah, yet remained estranged from 2. Years of typecasting left him with minimal career options, and a brief stint teaching acting at a community college ended after a scandal involving a student accusation, though no charges were filed. Hedges suffered from chronic back pain and financial distress, filing for bankruptcy in 2005. His final years were spent living in his sister's basement in New Jersey. He died in 2012 of a heart attack at the age of 60. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at only $8,000. His ashes were kept by his eldest son, who vowed to honor a legacy that Hollywood had long forgotten. Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, known for his cool and charismatic portrayal of Freddie Boom Boom Washington, was just 22 when he captivated audiences with his laid-back charm and smooth confidence. As one of the few black leads on television at the time, Hilton Jacobs became a role model, but the fame came with a heavy burden. After Welcome Back, Kotter, he struggled to find roles that matched his potential, often typecast or overlooked entirely. He later turned to music and low-budget films to sustain his career, but the recognition he once enjoyed steadily faded. In his personal life, Hilton Jacobs never married, though he had a long-term relationship with singer Marla Green, which ended after the tragic stillbirth of their only child in the late 80s. That loss deeply impacted him, and he became increasingly reclusive. Though he remained close to his siblings, he often described his life as one of quiet regret. Financially stable but not wealthy, his current net worth is estimated at $150,000. Now 70, he lives in a modest home in south-central Los Angeles, occasionally mentoring young actors, though he largely avoids the spotlight. Despite his early fame, Hilton Jacobs remains a largely forgotten figure, remembered fondly but infrequently. Ron Palillo, who portrayed the awkward yet endearing Arnold O'Hack, was 26 when he brought the lovable character to life. Horshack's signature laugh and heart-on-his-sleeve demeanor became iconic, but Palillo's real life was fraught with insecurity and rejection. After Welcome Back, Kotter, he found himself trapped in the shadow of O'Hack, with casting agents unwilling to see him as anything else. A devoted partner to actor Joseph Graham for over 30 years, their relationship endured multiple separations, especially during Palillo's deep bouts of depression. The couple never had children, and Palillo often spoke about the sadness of not having a family of his own. Financially, he struggled, eventually working as a high school drama teacher to make ends meet. He published a children's book and directed plays, but nothing reignited his earlier fame. In 2012, he died of a heart attack at the age of 63, just as he was preparing a stage comeback. His estate was estimated at $30,000, mostly tied up in debt. Palillo's passing was quiet, much like his final years, filled with dreams deferred and applause long faded. John Travolta, who played the cocky yet charming Vinnie Barbarino, was just 21 when his character skyrocketed him into stardom. While Travolta's career soared in the late 70s and again in the 90s, his personal life was littered with tragedy. He married actress Kelly Preston in 1991, and they had 3 children, Jet, Ella, and Benjamin. The death of Jet in 2009 at age 16 devastated him, as did Preston's passing in 2020 from breast cancer. Rumors surrounding his private life were constant sources of tabloid frenzy, which he often faced alone. Despite continued work, his recent films have floundered critically and commercially, leaving him isolated in a sprawling Florida estate. He reportedly suffers from long periods of depression and struggles with his faith. His net worth remains high, estimated at $170 million, but friends say he finds little joy in the wealth. Now 69, Travolta lives a quiet life away from the spotlight, often seen flying solo, literally and figuratively, as he pilots his private jet with no destination in sight. Stephen Shortridge, who joined the cast later as Bo Delabar, was 27 when he portrayed the Southern heartthrob meant to rejuvenate the series. Although he had the looks and charm for leading roles, Shortridge never managed to escape the replacement label. After acting fizzled, he turned to painting and writing, publishing a Christian memoir that received little attention. He married model Kathy Holland, and they had 2 children, Jeremy and Claire. The family faced hardship when Claire died in a car crash in 2003, a tragedy that deeply altered Shortridge's path. He and Kathy separated shortly after, unable to overcome the grief. Living quietly in Idaho, He now gives faith-based talks at local churches, though he remains haunted by his daughter's loss. Financially modest, his assets, mostly in property and art, are estimated at $60,000. Now 72, he remains gentle and soft-spoken, a stark contrast to the confident character he once portrayed, painting alone in the silence of a life he never quite expected. Charles Fleischer, who played the oddball Carvelli, was 26 when he stepped into the role of the eccentric classmate. Though best known for voicing Roger Rabbit later in his career, Fleischer's quirky persona led to a niche career path filled with voice roles and strange live performances. Off-screen, he was known for his erratic behavior and obsessive theories about science and mathematics, which alienated many collaborators. He married writer Ann Dorsey, and they had one daughter, Lily, but the marriage collapsed in the early 90s due to his erratic lifestyle and emotional distance. Lily later wrote a memoir describing her father as a genius lost in delusion. Fleischer now lives alone in Los Angeles, occasionally appearing on obscure podcasts and lectures about quantum physics. His estimated net worth is around $300,000, bolstered by residuals from his Roger Rabbit work, though he claims to have lost millions investing in failed tech projects. At 73, Fleischer remains enigmatic and largely reclusive, drifting between reality and abstract thought. Herb Edelman, who portrayed Mo Epstein, was 44 when he took on the role of Juan Epstein's father, a stern yet well-meaning parental figure. Known for his strong presence and dry wit, Edelman had a long career in television, but his personal life was often chaotic. He was married to actress Louise Sorel in the late 60s, but their tumultuous relationship ended in divorce by 1970. Though they had one daughter, Marissa, Edelman struggled to be a consistent father due to his demanding schedule and ongoing mental health issues, including depression and anxiety. After "Welcome Back, Kotter" roles became scarce, and Edelman turned to stage work to sustain himself, often taking pay cuts just to keep performing. Financial difficulties plagued him in the 1990s, and a failed investment in a restaurant cost him nearly everything. He spent his final years in a small apartment in Burbank, rarely seen in public. He died in 1996 at the age of 62 from emphysema, with an estate valued at under $20,000. His funeral was sparsely attended, a quiet farewell to a man whose talent far exceeded the recognition he received. Jane Dullo, who brought comic relief and gentle sarcasm as Nurse Bonnie, was 61 when she joined the show in its later seasons. A seasoned actress with a rich background in vaudeville and early television, Dullo's career was steady but never spectacular. Off-camera, she lived alone and never married, having once been engaged in the 1950s to a Broadway director who died in a car accident weeks before their wedding. The loss haunted her for decades, and she kept his picture on her nightstand until her final days. She became a caretaker for her ailing mother in the 70s, which limited her opportunities for larger roles. Later in life, she relied heavily on Social Security and lived modestly in a rent-controlled apartment in Santa Monica. Despite her financial hardship, she donated regularly to animal shelters and was known for feeding stray cats in her neighborhood. She passed away in 1994 at the age of 75 due to natural causes. Her estate, mostly consisting of memorabilia and modest savings, was valued at approximately $5,000. Ernest Harada, who portrayed the strict and no-nonsense Mr. Jan, was 40 when he appeared on the show. Harada brought quiet authority to his role, drawing on his real-life experience as a disciplined performer in both Broadway and television. Despite his talent, Harada faced systemic racism in the industry, which severely limited his opportunities after Welcome Back, Kotter. He never married and was rumored to have had a long-term partner who died from AIDS complications in the 1980s, a loss that Harada never publicly discussed. He withdrew from acting and turned to teaching drama at a community college in California, where he lived a quiet, nearly invisible life. Friends described him as gentle but haunted by professional regrets and personal grief. Now 86, Harada resides in a senior living facility in Monterey, surviving on a small pension and occasional royalties. His net worth is estimated at under $25,000. He remains largely forgotten by the entertainment world but remembered fondly by former students for his passion and humility. Alan Oppenheimer, who played the charming yet bumbling Dr. Melman, was 45 when he brought humor and heart to the recurring role. With a career largely defined by voice acting, especially in animation, Oppenheimer found steady work after Kotter, voicing iconic characters in shows like He-Man and the Smurfs. Despite professional success, his personal life was much less stable. He married fellow voice actor Shirley Mitchell, but the marriage ended in the 1980s amid rumors of infidelity and prolonged emotional distance. The couple had no children, and Oppenheimer became increasingly isolated, pouring his energy into work. A mild stroke in 2010 forced his retirement, and he sold most of his belongings to cover medical expenses. He now lives in a modest retirement community in Los Angeles, using a walker and reflecting on what he calls a half-lived life. At 91, his net worth is estimated at $100,000, primarily from voice acting royalties. While his voice remains recognizable, the man himself lives quietly in near-total obscurity. James Woods, who portrayed the briefly seen yet memorable character Alex Wells, was 28 when he took on the role, a sharply intelligent yet cynical student who challenged both teachers and classmates. Though Woods went on to become one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood during the 1980s and 90s, his off-screen life has been fraught with volatility. Never married, he had multiple high-profile relationships, including engagements that were abruptly broken off. Woods has no children and has often expressed deep regret over his failure to maintain meaningful long-term relationships. His reputation for being combative and outspoken, particularly in his later years on social media, led to professional isolation. Once commanding millions per film, by the 2010s he was largely blacklisted in Hollywood, claiming political discrimination, though many attributed it to his difficult behavior. He sold off properties in California and retreated to a quiet home in rural Rhode Island. Now 76, he rarely appears in public and lives a reclusive life. His current net worth is estimated at $10 million, mostly in real estate and conservative investments. Friends say he is bitter about Hollywood and often dwells on what he believes was a betrayal by the industry that once embraced him. Who is your favorite character from Welcome Back, Kotter? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.